Boys and girls, it's time once again for the Johnny Mandolin Show, broadcasting live on City World Radio Network. We got a great show for you tonight. I have Florida Al in the house, and we're going to explore the many wonderful dive bars, restaurants, and cigar lounges of New York City. So those of you who are in New York, you'll find some great places, and those of you who come to visit, you're going to know where to go. Don't touch that mouse. We're coming at you live on City World Radio from New York City. Our theme song, Anello's Blues, bringing us to another fun Johnny Mandolin show here on City World Radio Network. You know, we're on every Monday at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time and broadcasting all over the world. So make sure you tell your friends. Go to City World Radio, 24/7 talk radio. Always good time, always a lot of fun. So tonight I want to bring on to the mic a very good friend of mine who's been here before, a great friend of the neighborhood. We call him Florida Al because he lives in Florida, but he also lives in New York. And we're going to talk about some great places. Welcome, Al.
Thank you, Johnny. It's great to be here. Nice to see you again.
Good to have you back on the air. It's a lot of fun. And that's great. We've had a wonderful day. We started out our evening in a bar.
Yes, we did.
So
yes, we did. It's a good place to start.
Absolutely. If we're going to
Breakfast of Champions.
There you go. If we're going to talk about bars, we should start at it. And of course, you know, how can you drink all day if you don't start early? So
that's right. That's right. You got to get warmed up.
That's it. Anyway, we were at our friend Romeo's place, Suspenders, here on 108 Greenwich Street, and had a great drink there and a good time. So Al, let's talk about New York City. Is there anywhere else like it?
Nowhere. I mean, like you, I have a residence somewhere else. I live somewhere else, but every time I'm gone, I just cannot wait to get back to New York. There's too much to do here, not enough to cover in a lifetime. Too many bars, too many restaurants. You'll never see them all and never go to them all. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I always say if you're bored in New York, it's your own fault.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
So we're going to start out our chat and our tour. Now, neither Al nor I are really big drinkers. We don't go out and get plastered and stagger home.
Though I'm a little bigger of a drinker than you are.
I think so.
I would say.
But still, we're not, being arrested for drunken in public. But
not yet anyway.
Not yet anyway.
The night is young.
The night is young, yeah. But we do enjoy libations, and especially when served in a certain kind of place, which is I guess unofficially and officially called a dive bar.
Yes, yes. So so Johnny, that's the theme, right? We decided we're going to key in on dive bars. Should we
all styles?
Should we actually define what a dive bar is? I mean,
probably if there is a definition, yes.
Yeah, I mean, because like, what is a dive bar? I would say number one. I just throw some stuff out there. Number one, any place that serves food to me is not a dive bar. Well, I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, well, if they serve, depends on the food. If they serve pretzels and
that's
popcorn,
okay. That's all right.
or even a hot dog, I'm okay.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. But I mean, if you're going to go in there to eat, I mean, that's not a dive bar is a place you're going to go in there because you need a drink, right? You want a drink. You need a drink.
I totally agree.
And we've got places like that on our list.
Oh boy, do we ever!
Yeah.
Actually, I think we say we're going to start out in the East Village and work our way up, and
should we do geographic? Should we do?
Well, we'll start there and jump around as we get drunker.
Okay. All right. So I was thinking maybe we would do a couple little sample pub crawls, maybe. So let's start on the east side. So let's go downtown on the east side and work north. I'm going to start in I got a little four bar set. I would start off at the Spring Lounge in I guess would be called Nolita. Is that?
Yeah, I still call it Little Italy, but they call it
Little
Nolita.
Italy. Yeah, Nolita.
Nolita, north of Little Italy.
And so that's on Spring and Mulberry, I believe it is. And great bar, perfect dive bar, no food. Or if they do have food, I don't think you're going to want to eat it.
Yeah, they have Sunday morning bagels.
Oh, do they? Yeah, okay. And but it's great. It's corner bar. It's got big windows facing Spring, facing Mulberry. There's a little playground across the street. And it's full all day. I mean, it's crowded all day.
And, there's an interesting story. That's a very old bar. And when I was a kid, it was called a Shark Bar. And if you look at the side of the building, it still has the shark on the wall.
That's right. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I love this bar. It's not in my top. I'm not going to put that in my top 2 or 3, only because it's just so hard to get a seat at the bar in there. It's just crowded. It's packed all the time. And I don't think you and I have we ever had a drink there? Have you and I ever had a drink there?
I don't know if we've been there together. I've been there. You've been there.
I've been there, but I haven't been there together.
Yeah, but it is a pretty good bar, and it's a good if you're coming in or out of Little Italy, it's a good stop, a good way station.
Yeah, it's a good way station. Okay, so that's where you get your that's where you have breakfast. Now lunch, we're going to work north, and one of my personal favorites. Maybe this one I'd put in my top 3. It's one of the first bars I ever went to in New York City, and I immediately fell in love with the place because I mean, it's a dive, and that's Milano's.
Oh yeah, it's the diviest of dive. Again, a very old bar, old Italian bar and social club from the 1890s, 1900s, and hasn't changed much in terms of decor.
Not at all, and it has that great musty. 2-day-old beer-stained stool. I mean, you're not sure what that smell is, but there's just something funky and beautiful about it, and you're in a dive when you walk in there.
Yeah, and I think the decorations on the wall are still there from the 40s and the 30s.
Exactly. Yellowed from age, old notes and old IOUs pasted on the wall. It's just a great, great bar.
Yeah. Milano Bar. That, by the way, is on Houston Street, and I believe that's in between Mulberry and Mott.
I think so. Yeah.
And that's if you're walking too fast, you'll miss it. Yeah. Because it's very long and very narrow, and depending on how many drunks are at the bar, it's hard to get in sometimes. Just walk past the bar stools.
That's true. And also, it has one more thing that I would mention beside the no food deal. That is an actual jukebox that is that is played by the regulars. Jukeboxes are a double-edged sword because sometimes you never know who's going to get on there, and you never know what's going to be played. But for the most part, some really, really cool music on that jukebox, and you can just sit there, have a couple of beers, play your music, and just really have a good time. Great bar.
Yeah, it's a good place to disappear for a while.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So we're walking up the east side.
Okay, so that was lunch. All right, so now we're walking up the east side. We're going to go up a few blocks, and we're going to go to, and I wouldn't call this is not a dive by my standards of diviness, because they do have food, and it's actually a decent menu. They actually have a dining room and everything, and it's actually a beautiful old bar. It's one of the, I think it's in the running for the oldest bar in New York, with 2 or 3 other bars, and that's Pete's Tavern.
Pete's Tavern.
Yeah.
And a lot of history there. That was a hangout. It's right near Gramercy Park, and that was a hangout for the writer O. Henry, the author O. Henry, who penned The Gift of the Magi in that bar.
Yeah. Fantastic place. They really decorated up for the holidays with, I guess they put those kind of wicker branches on the roof on the ceiling with the lights, and it's beautiful old bar, and every time I'm in there I feel like I'm in New York, and I feel like thank God I'm alive and thank God I'm here. I just love that place.
Yeah, and food's not bad.
And the food's not bad. Yeah, exactly. So that was, where are we now? Are we at
Pete's Tavern?
That was the third bar in this 4-bar group. Then I'm going to end up on, I guess it's Park Avenue, and for a place that is kind of a little doesn't seem like it belongs where it is in that part of New York, because it's kind of a ritzy part of New York, but it's Desmond's. Desmond's Tavern, and that's a great place. And the nice thing about that place is that not only is it a true dive, which I would consider to be a true dive because it's got all the features, but it also has live music. I'm not sure how many nights a week it is. I don't know if it's 7 nights, but it might be, and always pretty good music there, and that's a very, very cool place to hang out.
Yeah, absolutely. And all good choices. I've been to all of those bars. Excellent. I would probably start a little bit further south than the Spring Lounge with Forlini.
Oh, my God. I forgot about that.
It's an Italian restaurant, but it's divided in 2. One side is a very nice, wonderful Italian restaurant with tablecloths and a great menu. The menu, it's an old bar. The restaurant and bar has been family-owned for 70 years. And the menu in the restaurant is in a leather cover and probably 14 pages long. But the bar is separate, and the bar is great. It's a long, narrow bar. They have a great bar menu. Almost everything on the bar is about $7.
Yeah.
And great food.
And all homemade.
Yeah, all homemade.
Everything
food.
made from scratch there.
That's it. And the bar is just great. It's a great place to hang out.
It is a great place to hang out. And it's right there where the police department is. And
the courthouse,
and the courthouse. So you get a lot of city employees that come in there after hours. It's and you and I have been there many times,
yeah.
and that's a great. I love Forlini's.
Yeah, Forlini's is great. It's 93 Baxter Street, and Baxter, for those of you who know Little Italy, Baxter is 1 block west of Mulberry Street, which is Little Italy. And the next bar, as I head up, is actually on Mulberry Street. It used to be called Maracchiaro, and before that it was a mafia social club, and now it's called the Mulberry Street Bar. And it's an old funky bar. They shot a lot of movies in there. They shot The Sopranos and Donnie Brasco and several movies in there, and it has a jukebox.
Exactly.
It's been upgraded.
How could I have forgotten that place?
Yeah,
you and I have been there a couple of times.
Many,
yeah.
And that place is cool. You can, in the summer, you can sit outside on a table, maybe have a cigar if you want. And they used to have a very old jukebox, as in with 45s.
Yeah.
They've since modernized, and it's too bad because I like the old jukebox because the newest thing in there was Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra. But they do have a jukebox in there, and it's still a great bar. They never had food. They've just added food like pizzas. They put in a pizza oven, and the pizza is very good there. Like individual pizza is very good there. But mainly we go for the drinking.
Yeah, because it's hard to find good pizza in New York, as we all know.
Yeah.
But and that's true. If you've seen Donnie Brasco, if you've seen almost any episode of The Sopranos, so many scenes have been filmed in that bar.
Yeah,
it's one of the most photographed bars, I think, in New York City.
It really is, and it's easy to find. It's on Mulberry Street, in between Grand and Broome Street and Grand Street, right in the middle of the block. That's a fun dive bar, and it's a lot of fun. Used to be owned by a guy named Tony, And Tony would be in there all day with a big cigar in his mouth. And then when they outlawed cigars in bars in New York, he left, he sold it, he moved to Florida.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll take you down a little further down from Forlini's. One other place just popped into my head. I don't know if I think you and I have been there one time. Is Francis Tavern in the Seaport? Again, we're kind of staying on the east side of town, and this is about as far downtown as you can get. And it's kind of touristy, and it's a New York historic landmark, supposedly. Not supposedly, actually. George Washington had kind of a headquarters there or near there, and it's a very well known bar, and it's a very, very old and beautiful old space. It's a great place to come and have a drink if you're in that part of town. Fantastic place.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as we start heading into Midtown, at least on the east side. A lot of the old bars are gone, unfortunately. There were some great bars. McSorley's is still there.
Oh, we forgot McSorley's, of course, and that's on the east side. That's in East Village,
right? East Village,
and that's that McSorley. I guess So what's the deal, Johnny? The three oldest bars that I understand are McSorley's, Pete's Tavern, and the Bridge Cafe, which is another place which would be on the east side that we have not mentioned. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you ever been to have we been to the. I know we haven't been there to get together.
No, we haven't.
But the Bridge Cafe is a very, very old, and it's literally right under the Brooklyn Bridge, and it's an old rickety frame house. It looks like it's about ready to fall over.
Yeah. Oh, sure. I've been there.
Yeah.
That's a great place.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a really good bar, which has also been. A lot of movies have been shot there. It's on. It's just above Union Square on 13th Street. I'm going to say between Park Avenue and Broadway. You know what I'm talking about?
Union Square.
It's above Union Square.
Park Avenue.
It's
Park Avenue South.
It's in between Park Avenue South and.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I know exactly where you're talking about. It's David Letterman's favorite bar.
Yeah,
he filmed parts of his intro in there. The Old Town Bar.
Old Town Bar.
The Old Town Bar.
Yeah, and several movies have been there. They used to shoot a lot of NYPD. Remember that TV show?
Great bar, yeah.
NY
great
Blue.
Bar. Really, really cool bathrooms with the old urinals that were like
marble.
Marble and like 6 feet high. And another place that had those old-fashioned urinals, again, staying on the east side, was P.J. Clark's in Midtown. And I think it's still there.
It's still there, yeah. And actually, I heard, the rumor is that what's his name? There was a boy, an enchanted boy. The author wrote the lyrics there in that.
Oh,
part,
yeah.
For Sinatra.
Yeah, right.
I can't think of his name. Oh, Billy Strayhorn.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and
I did not know
that's
that.
the rumor.
Yeah,
but that Old Town Bar is a great bar. Kind of on the east side.
Definitely on the east side.
And like I said, a lot of the bars on the east side on First and Second Avenue, up that way, a lot of those have gone away. There was a great old bar there on 52nd and First Avenue, but they tore the whole building down.
Yeah,
and I know that as you head up, you'll find that I'm sure there's a lot of bars we don't even know about. We still have to discover.
Oh, no, this is not an all-inclusive list. I just wanted to make sure we had that caveat in there.
Tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. But there was another place, and you and I were there together, and that's not there anymore. Again, this is the sad thing about New York. So many places closed down, but the Subway Inn. Yeah. You remember the Subway Inn?
Of course.
Yeah.
Who could forget
on 59th Street and Lexington, I think it was. Literally right outside the door of the subway the subway hole.
Oh yeah. That was
and
great.
And I'm going to go up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get off. I'm going to go up. I'm going to go up into Midtown now. And then I'm going to go uptown on the Upper East Side, and I'm going to get out of the whole divey thing. I don't know if you and I have been to these bars, but these are two of my favorite, most beautiful, enchanting spots of New York City, where just very expensive to walk in there, but it's worthwhile. The first one would be the King Cole Bar at the St. Regis Hotel.
Oh, sure.
And the old hotel bars in New York City. Just for the holidays, go in there and have a drink. Just
Can't beat it, the Algonquin.
yes, the King Cole Bar has a beautiful mural behind the bar it's world famous. And then I'm going to go uptown to Bemelman's Bar in the Carlisle Hotel.
Oh yeah,
And of course you got the Cafe Carlisle, which is right next door, where for many years Bobby Short played, and Woody Allen I think still plays on Monday nights.
Yeah.
And Bemelman's Bar has those beautiful murals on the wall by the New Yorker cartoonist. I can't remember his name, but it's just fantastic historic old New York places. And then finally, if we go really uptown, and it is closed now, unfortunately, but it would be Elaine's. That would be the last place you would stop on the East Side.
Yeah, and Elaine's was always full of celebrities and people hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah, after she passed, they closed her down.
Yeah.
But yeah, now since we're going up, starting Midtown and going up, we can't forget a great place, and I have a story for you on this one too. An old boxer named Jimmy.
Oh,
Jimmy's
my God.
Corner.
Yours are my favorites, so we meet there all the time.
Now, this is a bar in Midtown, and
yes,
it's not just in Midtown; it's in Times Square,
and it is a dive.
It is truly a dive.
This is a dive.
Yeah, and it's a gem.
And
because
it's a gem.
$4 drinks. And,
yes.
But where it is, it's right in the theater district, and it's near all the big bars like the TGI Fridays and all the corporate chain bars we avoid, like the Black Plague.
Yes,
but it's just a little hole-in-the-wall place. And the interesting thing, one of the bartenders, who's also a well-known actress, Tiffany May, is on my show October 22nd. Tiffany May will be here, the bartender from Jimmy's Corner.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So Jimmy's Corner's great.
Jimmy's Corner, and it's for anybody who's not been there, you've got to go to this place. Would it be on 44th or 34th?
44th. Between 6th and 7th.
And it's directly across the street from the Belasco Theater, which is a historic theater. And it's called Jimmy's Corner, though it's not on the corner. It's in the middle of the block.
Right.
And the reason it's called Jimmy's Corner is because he's a trainer, boxing trainer. So it's actually the corner of the ring.
Yeah.
And that's his corner. So, and he's got all these old boxing pictures. He trained Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, and all these old boxing pictures all over the wall.
Yeah, if you love boxing and if you love a good price on a drink.
Yes. And another thing is probably my favorite jukebox in New York, because it's the original jukebox, hand-loaded with CDs that Jimmy likes. And that place to me is
it's a gem.
Special place.
Yeah, we love that place.
Love that place.
Staying in Midtown but heading a little more west, I'm going over to 9th Avenue to one of my favorite bars called Rudy's.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if you haven't been to Rudy's, let me tell you, the interesting thing about Rudy's, they have their own beer. They have Rudy's Red and Rudy's Blonde, and it's $3. And every time you order a drink, doesn't matter what drink, every time you order a drink, you get a free hot dog. So how do you beat that? You get lunch and a beer for $3.
Yeah.
And they have a nice back area too, back garden where you can sit back and smoke if you're a smoker. I think you can still smoke. I've had several cigars over there over time, and it's just a real divey bar. And it's so divey that when you go in, they have the old style booths like you would have seen in a diner, and the it's not leather, it's vinyl, and the vinyl is ripped, so they duct taped it.
Oh yeah. Well, you gotta have duct tape in a dive bar. It's gotta be. Yeah. So yeah. Rudy's is a good one. So
there's still a couple of Irish bars left on the upper West Side Hell's Kitchen. Actually, Midtown West, and one of them, I can't remember the name, it's around 51 and 8th Avenue, and again, it's one of these Irish bars, no food. I mean, you can bring food in, but they don't serve any. You can go get a burger and bring it in, they don't care. But and there's a lot of bars like that are a few bars like that are still left. There was hundreds, now there's 3, 4.
Yeah. I'm going to stay in Midtown now. And again, I'm going to go out of the dive genre for a second, and I'm going to go back into the enchanted land of the, magical New York spaces, old New York spaces. And that's going to be the Campbell apartment in Grand Central Station. This used to be an actual apartment for a city official. His name was in kind of an apartment there, and it's got this beautiful old fireplace. The fireplace must be 6 feet high, stained glass windows all around, and it's right in Grand Central. So if you're in Grand Central and you're waiting for your train, it used to have a dress code. You used to not be able to walk in there with sneakers on or jeans. I don't know if they've changed that, but you've got to be semi-dressed, to walk in there.
Well, last I heard, it closed.
No.
Last I heard, it closed, and they're either going to turn it into like some kind of restaurant or something like that. Now, that could be false information, but that's what I heard. We have to check that out. We'll report back to you on a later show.
Got a heart attack over here.
No, I'm telling you, that was a great place.
Giving me a heart attack.
That was a great place.
Oh, God.
So yeah, that was a great bar right outside of Grand Central, on the corner of Vanderbilt and I'm going to say 46th Street. There's an outdoor bar in the summer. It's just called the Beer Bar, and it's literally they roll out these portable bars on wheels that are big bars of beer taps, and it's just an outdoor after-work bar, and that's what what they do. It's right outside the Grand Central.
Okay, so are we ready for the West Side?
Let's talk about the West Side.
Okay, all right. So let's start downtown. The furthest that I can think, right, and it's coming to the top of my head right now, downtown would be in Tribeca, and that's Nancy's Whiskey Bar. I don't know if you're familiar with that one.
I haven't been to Nancy's Whiskey Bar, no.
It's has all the features of a classic dive. No food. It's a drinking bar just below Canal Street, not too far below Canal Street, but fantastic, comfortable whiskey bar. Beautiful. And they do have food there. But to their credit, the food's not very good, so that kind of keeps it in the bar in the dive realm. Yeah.
No, I'm going to have to make that one.
Yeah, Nancy's Whiskey Bar is a very good place on the West Side.
Yeah.
So can you think of anything further south on the West Side?
It's more on the East Side, because you know how as you get to the bottom of Manhattan, it narrows down. But over on the East Side near South Street Seaport is a bar called the Iron Horse, and they have a swing over the bar. And
you and I've been there.
Yeah,
that is a great place.
The bartenders are female, and when they're not bartending, they get up on the swing and they'll do little calisthenics on the swing. The swing is right over the bar.
That's right. That is a fun place. I forgot about that place. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to just move north a little bit from Nancy's, and I guess it's not there anymore. I would be remiss if I did not mention Milady's, which is gone. Yeah, now that's actually a wonderful, very upscale Italian restaurant called Coco Pazzo, and it's owned by the people who used to own Marcella, which was another restaurant that has closed. Yeah. But Milady's was truly a dive bar right there on Prince and Thompson. Yeah, and it was a neighborhood place where you would see everybody that you knew. Everybody from the neighborhood would go there. Very, very comfortable place. Great jukebox. They had pool tables, long bar. It was just a great spot. Yeah, and about 3 or 4 doors east of that is a late night place called Raoul's. Oh, well, Raoul's. Now that's place, a late night bar. Yeah, that is now that one. It's a late night bar, and on top of that, it does have a little element of old world New York elegance to it, because it's just beautiful French themed. Actually, fantastic restaurant. But they got a great bar steak for like $20 or so. You can order a steak at the bar, and food is excellent, which takes it out of the dive realm. It's by no means a dive, but it is a late night place. Like they're open like 3 in the morning, 3 or 4 in the morning, and many a 3 or 4 a.m. has passed that has found me at Raoul's. Yeah. All right. So we're going to head a little further north and a little further west, and we're going to go up Hudson Street, where we hit the White Horse. Oh, the White Horse Tavern. Yeah, that's a great place. This particular area that we're talking about now is rich with bars, because You got the White Horse, which is an institution. It's a village.
Old bar.
Old bar. But we forgot to mention that's another place vying for oldest bar in New York, just a little bit south of the White Horse, would be the Ear Inn.
Oh, sure, the Ear Inn. This place is so old, they said George Washington had a brothel upstairs.
Yeah.
And when you walk into this building, the floor slopes down on the back.
Yeah. And again, not a dive because they do have decent food. But
it's divey.
But, divey, but beautiful, beautiful old bar. Just great old bar, the Ear Inn. Yeah.
Ear Inn. All right, now we're walking a little further. We can't forget the Corner Bistro.
God, the Corner Bistro.
Great burger.
What they do is they take the bacon and they drop the bacon in a deep fryer. So that's a heart attack waiting to happen right there. But they get the bacon gets all curled up because it's been in the deep fryer, and then they just set it on top of this hamburger, and then they put the bun on there, and it is just delicious.
Yeah. It's a great place. That whole area from, I would say, from easily Broome Street up. There's the Broome Street Bar.
Ken's Broome Street Bar,
Great
another
place.
one. Yeah.
I love their burger and pita bread.
Yeah. And yours and my favorite, Arturo's.
Yes,
Arturo's.
That was what I was going to say next. Not a dive bar, but very, very old school. Not elegant in a fancy way, elegant in an old school way.
Yeah.
I think one of the best restaurants, certainly one of the best pizza places, Jazz, 7 nights a week, no cover charge.
Right, and you yourself have played there.
Many times.
Yeah. Arturo's, that's where we met. We met at Arturo's.
That's right, 106 West Houston Street. Say hi to Tony, the bartender. He's there every day of the week on Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
Tony drinks.
Yeah, and right down the street from Arturo's, Bar Veloce, right on the corner.
Yeah, that's new. That's a new bar.
It's part of
trendy,
a chain, but that's a great place to stop in for a drink. Before we leave that neighborhood, I know we're missing a lot there.
Well, there used to be a bar called Chez Jacqueline, which was a French themed bar.
Chez Jacqueline. That's gone.
Well, if you go up MacDougall, you've got the Grizzly Pear.
Yeah.
And you've got a lot of, the Off the Wagon. These are a lot of dive bars, a lot of college type bars.
Yeah.
But they're more themed toward the college kids and stuff. But but they're good.
Yeah.
So we were starting to head up the west side. We passed the Corner Bistro.
Well, you mentioned the Corner Bistro, the White Horse. They're kind of in close proximity. If we were to go north a little ways, actually, there's one place right in the center. It's not east and it's not west. One of my favorite places, you and I have been there a couple times, is the Knickerbocker.
Oh, yeah.
The Knickerbocker bar and lounge. It's a great restaurant. Again, not divey at all, but a classic New York experience. Yeah,
no, that's great. And what have you had there?
Well, they are very, very strong with all their meat dishes. It's a carnivore kind of a place, but they've got some really, really interesting vegetarian dishes also. Very, very high quality restaurant.
Yeah, great burgers there too. And it's also been a movie location. They shot Mickey Blue Eyes there.
Exactly.
So that was cool. Well, we're at our halfway point here on the Johnny Mandolin Show. I've got Florida Al here, and we're talking dive bars and other bars, and we're going to be right back in a second. You're listening to City World Radio Network, and we'll be right back with you.
Moon River, wider than a mile, I'm crossing you in style. Dream maker, you old heartbreaker, wherever you're going, I'm going your way. Two drifters off to see the world, such a lot of world to see. We're after the same rainbows and waiting round the bend. My huckleberry friend, moon
Yeah, our little musical interlude there, that was Doc Anello and the Swing Machine on Sexton Records, and that's from the album Swingin' Jazz Live, recorded live. Doc Anello, DocAnello.com. So we're back on our pub crawl around New York City, and of course there's so many places we're not mentioning because you can't mention them all. We need to be on 24 hours a day just to mention them, and we are, but not this show.
Yeah. So anyway, have you caught a buzz yet? I have.
Yeah, we're working there. Well, we just left Hell's Kitchen and we're heading up a bit, and I remember that if you go up 8th Avenue just above Hell's Kitchen to about 56th Street, there's an old divey bar called the Barcelona.
I've never been there.
It's divey.
Oh, my God.
It's really just a dive. I mean, it doesn't look like it from the outside, but it really looks like it from the inside.
Oh, God. I got to check that out. Yeah. So, my experience on the west side above 14th Street is not as much as yours, but there are a few places that I would need to mention. One is if you go anywhere on the west side go to the theater, go to see a show, either Broadway, off Broadway, any one of the theaters up there, you got to go to Joe Allen's, classic old New York after theater bar and restaurant. That's a fantastic place to go.
Yeah, it is. It's very historic.
Yeah,
New York historic. And again, there's all kinds of dive bars. Walk down any street or avenue. I mean, I was just thinking that what is it? I think it's. I'm not sure, but I think it's 14th Street near 8th Avenue is the Ipanema Bar, which is a bikini bar, one of the last bikini bars where all the bartenderesses are in bikinis.
Bartendresses.
Yes, and the theme is the beach, Ipanema.
Yeah. That sounds great. Again, now staying on the west side. There's a place on, I believe it's on Greenwich Street. It's called Automatic Slims. Are you familiar with that place?
That I'm not.
It's near the Meatpacking District, and that's a great old bar that's been there for a while, and that's a really, really cool place to hang out.
Yeah. I've heard of it. I haven't been there, and this is one of the reasons why we love New York, because I also I live in New York City. I'm a New York resident. I'm a New York native, mostly. Actually born across the river in Newark, but I've lived mostly here. But I also live in Southern California, and where I live in Southern California, the bars that are there are parts of other things corporate, like there's a bar at TGI Fridays. There's a bar at Chili's. But these aren't really bars.
Right.
These aren't what we're talking about.
Yeah. So I think, Johnny, it's gonna get pretty soon time for us to get to the area that we really like hanging out.
Yeah, one of our favorites.
Yeah. So when I first moved to New York, I ended up settling in the Village. That's kind of where I felt I belonged. But for a long time, when I was checking out places, I was really thinking about settling on the Upper West Side. There was just really something about it, the proximity to the park, I really like, and I still to this day like the Upper West Side. One of the first bars that I discovered that I really, really liked was the Dublin House, and it's a place that you and I meet all the time. Again, this is a
easy
classic,
to get to.
Yeah, classic old bar on 79th Street and Broadway.
Yeah, just east of Broadway on 79th Street.
Yeah,
and it is a really cool bar. Very old school. Has that look, and it's interesting. I have some information on that particular bar too. I got to look it up, but we'll go there because when you get off the 1 train at 79th Street and you start to head east, it's literally the first thing you hit on the north side, and it's the first business, and that bar is definitely fun. They have a jukebox too.
Yeah, got a really good jukebox. Great sign. There's a little bit of neon in it, but it's an old electric sign, and it's in the shape of and it's huge, in the shape of a harp.
Yeah.
And
right.
It's just beautiful sign. Terrazzo, old terrazzo floors, terrazzo steps leading outside. Fantastic old bar.
Yeah, it really is. And it's interesting. On the outside of it, on the building just next to it, in between Broadway and the Dublin House, there's a Banksy on the wall.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's a Banksy there. Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. It was actually opened during Prohibition, and in the 1920s, and it was owned by the Caraway family. It's called the Dublin House. It remains a landmark, and it's a true Irish pub, officially operating as a pub since 1933 in the post-Prohibition area. Its neon harp has remained a beacon in the area for those seeking respite from the craziness of the city around them. Irish-owned and operated for nearly 100 years, the Dublin House was often the first thing sailors docking at the 79th Street boat basin saw.
Yeah. That's a great bar. I love that place. So what's our deal then, Johnny? We usually we meet because you live up in Inwood.
Mm-hmm.
I live down in the Village, so we kind of meet, pick a halfway point, and we meet there.
Yeah, and then we head up Amsterdam,
and
or
then
down Amsterdam, depending on which way we're going.
Yeah.
One stop that we like to make is a really cool bar called the High Life.
The High Life is a very, very cool place.
You feel like it's a Sinatra bar.
It's a really, really cool place. Very, very retro, kind of 1960s, 50s, and 60s, kind of Art Deco themed. Very sleek, but very old, and it's got pictures of like cheesecake pictures of pinups and stuff on the walls.
It's great, and it's like a real martini bar,
Yeah.
or, whiskey sour bar.
Yeah, the
Manhattan.
High Life is very good, and decent menu, decent food there.
Yeah, very good
decent food. And I guess we'd be remiss, and this is not a bar at all. This is not a bar, but. Are there any other places in New York City or anywhere that anybody can think of that gives you free wine, all you can drink? Is there any place like that you know of?
Only one.
Only one?
Only one. We're giving our secrets away.
I know.
On 77th Street in Amsterdam, there's a Chinese restaurant called The Cottage. And I think there used to be more than one, but now there's just this one as I know of. And dinner it's Chinese food. It's good Chinese food. The dinner's right between maybe $8 to $15. But whenever you order dinner, they will give you a liter of white wine.
A full carafe of white wine.
And if you finish it,
they bring you another
one.
And if you finish that, they bring you another one.
And there's no liquor bill.
No liquor bill. It's free, gratis.
Yes.
With your meal. How do they do that?
I don't know, but I hope that they keep doing it because we keep going.
We go there. Yeah,
that's
we go
our
there.
Launching point.
Yeah. So we'll start at the Dublin House, then we'll go to the Cottage. Maybe we'll go to the High Life, but then Johnny just introduced me to this one bar up on 96th.
The Dive Bar.
Oh man,
now
that's a great place.
There's actually 4 dive bars. Before we get to the dive bar, I was going to say that at High Life, which is, I believe, 83rd in Amsterdam, right across the street is another bar called Fred's.
Yeah, Fred's.
Which is really kind of more of a restaurant, but they have a pretty good bar. The whole bar is completely rectangular, square, and they have pictures of dogs all over the place.
Yeah.
Thousands of pictures of dogs.
Yeah. Fred's is very good.
That's
very
right
good.
across the street from High Life. But yes, now the dive bar, it's a dive bar called Dive Bar.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. There's 4 of them in New York. And here's the write-up on it. It says, "We are a family of 4 traditional bars on the Upper West Side. Our bars have served the neighborhood and evolved over 40 years. Dive bars are for real people who want to enjoy good times over well-prepared food and cocktails. We've been in the forefront of Manhattan's craft and artisanal products, microbreweries, and whiskeys." And it says, because we consider ourselves a local bar, you're invited to come by yourself or with a group and find that you'll make new friends easily. And they have TVs, they have a trivia night, and they also have beer to go and growlers and kegs.
Wow, great.
Yeah, it's a nice place.
Yeah. And, I wanted to mention 3 places that are kind of like Central Park centered. One is now a Tavern on the Green. I never went to the original. Did you ever go to the original, Tag?
Years ago, but not recently.
Yeah. And
I've been to the new one.
yeah, and the new one is really. We were there the other day. Really, really nice. They have outdoor seating and indoor seating, and it's just right there in Central Park. That's a fantastic place if you're just going through the park one day and you want to stop in there, have a beer, have a glass of wine. That's a fantastic place to go.
Yeah. And in that same area, we were mentioning the Dublin House. That's on 79th Street. If you head west until you can't walk anymore, you run into the Boathouse.
The Boathouse. That's
And
another place. Yeah.
It's actually the Boat Basin.
The Boat Basin.
Yeah, the 79th Street Boat Basin.
Yeah.
And they have an outdoor-indoor bar, seats facing the Hudson River, and it's always busy.
That's fantastic. And we said Boathouse, and that's actually what I was going to mention was the Boathouse, which is actually in Central Park. The Boathouse, and that's a fantastic place. It's got a nice fireplace in there, and it's right on the lake, right where they take the boats out, to go, in Central Park, then that big lake there. And the Boathouse is a fantastic place to go and have a drink.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And you're right in Central Park, so you have this beautiful greenery around you.
Beautiful.
You feel like you're not in the middle of the city.
Beautiful. And I would mention one more thing before we left Central Park, and you and I went one time, is if you go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, there's various places you can have a drink, have a glass of wine. But there's one bar that has a view, big picture window view out to Central Park. Yeah. It's beautiful. There's a rooftop bar that you can go to the rooftop, and they normally have sculpture exhibitions up there. You can have a drink on the roof deck. And finally, in the grand salon, in the grand hallway as you walk in, starting at 6 o'clock on Fridays and Saturdays, they have a chamber orchestra that plays on the balcony of the grand salon, and they have tables, and you can sit and have a glass of wine and appetizers, all while you're surrounded by world-class art. I mean, how can you beat that experience?
This is the opposite spectrum of a dive bar.
Yeah. We're covering all ground here.
Yeah. Now back to the west side as we head up Amsterdam. We've passed the Dublin House. We're heading towards High Life, and we passed this crazy bar called the Gin Mill.
Oh, the Gin Mill. Yeah, I have a specific experience with Gin Mill because they have watch parties for my college football team. It's a frat bar. It's a college bar. A lot of sports, but it's a fun place. The Gin Mill is a really great place to go.
Yeah, and the drink prices are pretty good.
And the
too.
drink prices are good.
Yeah.
And speaking of sports bars, I would be remiss if I'm going to go now to the opposite end of town. I'm going to go back down into the East Village again. There's a great sports bar in the East Village called Standings. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but
I'm not a sports bar guy, but I've heard of it.
Standings is a great bar. That's a great sports bar locale. And one place that I forgot to mention in the East Village, and I know we're jumping around the city a little bit here, you're getting whiplash, but one place that I forgot to mention was on St. Mark's. Great old, again, now this is the definition of dive, is this place, the Holiday Cocktail Lounge. Fantastic place. It's got the facade is stainless steel, just a metal stainless steel facade, and it is the diviest of dives, and the diviest of neighborhoods.
Yeah, and definitely an East Village,
East Village institution.
Yeah, and if you go west again, since we're jumping around, we got to mention the 55 Bar.
Oh, the 55 Bar.
Now this place is really like a little great jazz hole downstairs bar.
Fantastic
It's next door to the Stonewall Inn.
Next door to the Stonewall,
which was a famous place in the gay community, and but the 55 Bar is almost like a basement type bar, live jazz every night. I think.
Yes, every night live jazz. They have a cover. I think it's like a $20 cover, maybe $10, $15, $20 cover, something like that.
Yeah, sometimes $5.
Yeah, and but they have a 6 o'clock show, an 8 o'clock show, 10 o'clock show, and it's a serious listening jazz bar. It's not a place where you go and you talk and there's jazz playing in the background.
Right.
The main reason you go there is to listen to the jazz.
Yeah, it's a concert place.
Yeah. And speaking of that, I mean, in that neighborhood, this area is rich with bars because, you've got the 55 Bar, number one. You've got Smalls, which is fantastic.
Great jazz club.
Great jazz club, great listening room. You've got Mesros.
That's right.
Right there. Fantastic.
And if you keep going west, one more block, you cross 7th Avenue on Christopher Street, you got Fat Cat.
You got Fat
And
Cat.
Fat Cat is like nothing I've ever seen.
Fat Cat, yeah.
If you took a jazz club with a dive bar and mixed it with
Pool tables.
a recreation room,
Yeah.
where they have pool tables, shuffleboard,
Yeah.
ping pong,
Yeah.
and everything,
air hockey, whatever.
Air hockey.
One of our favorite, one of our old friends, Harry Whitaker, used to play there. He used to play at Arturo's. He played at Fat Cat. And again, now we mentioned 55 Bar, we mentioned Smalls, we mentioned Mesros. Of course, how could we not mention Village Vanguard? Village Vanguard is an institution. Great historic jazz club.
Again, that's more of a venue. You're not.
That's
gonna
a
go
venue.
You're not going to go there to have a drink.
Yeah,
You're
you're going to go there to
to
listen to
buy a
jazz.
$50
And the
ticket
same,
and go.
pretty much the same with 55 Bar, Mesro, Smalls. Those are places you're not going to walk in to have a drink. You're going to go there to listen to jazz.
Yes. Fat Cat's a little different. The cover charge is $2.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's kind of a beer bar.
Now, again, I'm saying right there in the same neighborhood, within a 3-block radius. This is a place you are going to go have a drink. You're going to go to party. You're going to go to talk loud and have fun and have a great time. And they got kick-ass music there, and it's called Arthur's Tavern.
Oh, yeah.
Arthur's.
It's a blues club.
It's a blues club, and they got funk bands, jazz bands,
Right.
rock bands, blues bands, and it's fantastic. It's a lot of fun,
and
it's divier than divey.
That's true.
I mean, it is just
It's
late
the
night.
divest.
It's late night.
And right next door to that, just to the right, is a really fun place we like to sing. It's called Marie's Crisis Cafe.
Yeah.
And what it is it's a piano bar, old school piano bar, where you have a piano player, and everybody goes around the room and sings their favorite song.
And then across the street from there is the Duplex, and the Duplex is kind of a cabaret. They've got Broadway shows and stuff that they're singing, and it's a fun place.
And sadly, I think maybe one day we'll have to do an RIP show, because so many great places over there are gone. The Riviera's gone, the Garage is gone, Sweet Basil's is gone.
Yeah.
And I mean, those were all great, places and jazz clubs and stuff, and they're gone.
Yeah, that particular part of town. It's funny. I got a funny story, Johnny. When I first moved to New York, I rented a place, and I had no idea. I had no clue as to what was going on in New York. I just looked at a map, and I saw where all the streets kind of were in a mishmash, where it was like very disorganized. And I decided I wanted to rent a place right there. So I rented a place right there on Christopher Street, right above the Stonewall. And I didn't know what the Stonewall was all about then, but I was like three flights up, and so what would happen is, as you know, it's the Stonewall is the birthplace of the gay movement. That is where the riots occurred. That's where the gay community kind of stood up against the repression that was going on at the time and asserted their rights. So it's kind of a ground zero for gay tourism around the country, maybe around the world too. They come to New York and they go to the Stonewall because that's kind of the Mecca.
Ground zero.
It's the Mecca. So I didn't know this. So every night at about 3 or 4 in the morning, when the bar closed, all the dramas that were playing out during the night would become resolved on the street at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, one way or the other.
One way or the other, and it didn't fail. 4 o'clock in the morning, yelling and screaming out there, and I only lasted like 10 months in that apartment. That was like incredible, but that's a cool place. And also, right next to the Stonewall, I forgot to mention a place that when I first moved, when I had that apartment though, where I would go all the time was a place called the Kettle of Fish.
Oh yeah. Another classic place.
And that was right, kind of down in the basement. And that's a really, really good place.
Yeah. Well, this has been fun. We love reminiscing, and you can tell we love New York and our dive bars. And as we head up, I mean, we could do more shows. I'd mention maybe the Harlem Tavern on 116th Street. And if you go all the way up into Inwood, which is the last part of Manhattan, the very top, there's an Irish bar. It's the last original one left in Inwood. Inwood had hundreds of them. Now there's one original one left, and it's called the Liffey. And the Liffey is up there on Broadway and about 213, And but we're just out of time. But I'll tell you what, we got to do part 2 of this. Maybe the next show we've got to do restaurants, or we've got to do cigar lounges.
Yeah. We didn't even mention cigar lounges.
Yeah, we got a lot of good ones there too.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank everybody for listening to the Johnny Mandolin Show. Tune in next week at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're on live every Monday night. And I want to thank Florida Al, who came up to do this great show. Thanks, Al.
Oh, Johnny, it was my pleasure.
Will you come back?
I definitely will.
There you go, folks. Well, stand by for more great talk radio coming up. I want to thank Jade, our engineer, and stand by for more stuff here on City World Radio. This is Johnny Mandolin saying good night and God bless.